Make room for Javi.
Welcome to my Project a Day video, where I explain a project or tell a story each day for a year, and I attempt to complete my shop. This is day 59 of 365, and today's project is ceiling insulation 12 of 44. And here we go with another installation. Today's story is my failures as a Carny. In 2003, I purchased 2 spots at Santa's Enchanted Forest, a photo stand taking pictures in a big giant chair, and a t-shirt photo business complete with a concession tray. Allow me to regale you with my 4 biggest mistakes in the carnival concession world. Mistake number 1, Calle Ocho. As I purchased the concession in 2002, I had the contract for the Christmas season in 2003. Well, let's take advantage of the trailer, equipment, supplies, and do some fairs between now and then. So I filled out the forms in Miami from the Kiwanis and signed up for Carnival Miami Calle Ocho Festival. Back then, it was only one day, and it was unbelievably packed. Well, it's still unbelievably packed. Carlos joined me, and we set up at 4 a.m. on the mile-long strip that would later be packed with a little over 1 million attendees. It was free to all and always had great bands such as Miami Sound Machine with Gloria Estefan, amongst others in the early years. By 8 a.m., the place was packed. By 12, you couldn't get anywhere without exiting and going down a side street. There were no bathrooms for the vendors. We went once to a KFC 7 blocks away. We had to wait for the event to be over before we started breaking down. The people only wanted beer, food and drinks, and mostly beer. I was selling photos on t-shirts. Drain water and some sewage ran down the curbsides where all the vendors were stationed. At the end of the event, there was not a square inch of the entire street not covered in trash and paper napkins and free promotional t-shirts used as diapers or napkins themselves. We made a total of $800 split between 2 people after expenses. You might say, "Hey Javi, $400 for one day's work is worth it." If you'd have been there, you'd beg to differ. It was 24 hours of pure hell. We got home at 4 a.m. Mistake number 2, the Dade County Youth Fair. The Dade County Youth Fair is the size and scope of many state fairs localized in the city of Miami, Florida. I couldn't bring in my t-shirt concession or big chair photos, as they already had at least one of them, so I'd have to create something original. The idea is to get my foot in the door, and the following year they would let us bring another one of our concessions. This was one of the biggest money-making fairs in one of the biggest cities in the U.S. They told me that the only opportunity I had was to take a corner location in one of the indoor buildings. I built an elaborate location, and the product was your face on a magazine cover. What a bust. The attendance was even less than expected in that area. Nobody knew what we were selling. It took forever for my employees, who knew Photoshop, to produce each picture. I ended up grossing $3,500. The employees cost me $2,000. The set, the U-Haul rental, and other expenses cost me another $4,000. Not to mention my time. It was a total loss. They asked me if I wanted that spot again. Even tweaking all the systems, the money was just not there. Mistake number 3, the local church fair. As I was active in the church, for a modest $300 donation, I could easily plant myself wherever I wanted during the weekend church fair. In short, it was great to see the community, but I couldn't charge county fair prices, and no one brought much money for anything other than food and some rides. In the end, I worked 3 days, saw many friends, ended up with a couple of $100 in my pocket after expenses. But then came my biggest mistake. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. I enjoy reading them, particularly when they're pleasant. Please subscribe, and as always, have a great day.
Make room for Javi.